Denan Kemp on SEN.
Welcome to the Captain's Run, a very special Captain's Run. We will be reviewing Origin Game 1, but we have Queensland's assistant coach and Origin great, Cameron Smith here. Smithy, how are you feeling, mate?
Oh, I'm feeling good, Kempy. I'm feeling really good. It's great to be a Queenslander this morning, mate. I know we have a lot of New South Wales fans as part of our listeners. And, you know, you need to be proud of your team. I thought they were fantastic. They nearly snuck one in late with Isaiah Yeo. It was centimetres from scoring a try and allowing New South Wales to have a chance to level it up through a Nathan Cleary kick. He would have kicked that. He could have kicked it with his eyes closed. But it was just, Queensland's victory aside, it was just a fantastic game of football. I thought.
Yeah.
I don't know what you thought, mate. We'll get your thoughts on it. But from start to finish, it was fast. It was physical. Some of the skill involved from both sides throughout the match was just unbelievable, and it's why we love Origin so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
And mate, sorry to interrupt. I thought the atmosphere at Core Stadium last night was just enormous.
Absolutely.
90,000 sold out.
So good.
It was just unbelievable.
Mate, I absolutely echo your sentiments. It was, whether you support New South Wales or Queensland, it was an absolutely incredible game. Now, I know New South Wales fans will be disappointed, but you have to remember the amount of try-saving tackles that were made by New South Wales to keep them in the game.
Yep.
That was scramble. We're talking about 3 or 4 line breaks and blokes getting back from New South Wales on their line. Try-saving tackles almost, I don't know, what would you say, 30 centimetres from the try line?
Oh, yeah, inches. They just, but you know what? That's what Origin. It makes players make those big plays.
Absolutely,
like often, and it just you need to be able to come up with those plays where you think you've got no energy. You've made numerous tackles already. You've made multiple tackles in that set. But the opposition, they make a line break. You force yourself to go back, chase, do what you have to do to help your team. And there was examples of that from both sides. As you mentioned, the countless times that New South Wales come up with, last gasp try-saving tackles. Queensland did the same. I thought one man for the Maroons was just absolutely fantastic in that area. That was Val Holmes. Come up with some huge reads on the outside, particularly when he got moved to the wing when Xavier Coates went down with his ankle injury. He's no stranger to playing that position. That's where he started his Origin career, Val Holmes on the wing. But some of the decisions that he made to jam outside in on the New South Wales attackers to cut the ball off when there was an overlap. That play he come up with when Tedesco made a bit of a half break and then he put that grubber in. I'm pretty sure there was 3 New South Wales chasers on that ball.
Yep.
And first and foremost, if Val doesn't make that decision to cover across from the other wing, he picked the ball up in and around the midfield. Like that's a try every day of the week. But his ability to get down, he picked the ball up inches off the ground and maintain possession.
Incredible.
Like all he had to do there was just bobble it or fumble, spill the ball, and they'd pick it up, they regather and score. There's no other Queenslander around. Just plays like that it was huge. There was, as I said, there was examples for both teams. But again, I say it again, that's what makes Origin so great, is because these players, they're out there and they will do anything they can to help their team get a victory.
Yeah, absolutely. That Valentine Holmes play, it's going to be a really interesting play in the history of Origin because that same level of skill set is similar to, say, an Israel Folau putting the ball over his head, 10 years ago or whatever on a high ball. And because it's a defensive play, I don't think it'll get as much hype as it deserves.
Yeah.
But it was almost like scoring the match winner.
Well, that's right.
In the corner in Origin.
Well, if you go through all the State of Origin games and watch them closely, there's examples of those defensive plays in every match that you'll watch. But, the highlights are, the long-range tries, the flash plays, the cut-out passes, the big hits. But those little plays that doesn't get a lot of recognition or a lot of hype, or it's not in the paper today. they're the actions, they're the moments that win games for teams, and that was certainly on show last night.
Now, walk us through, the build-up for you personally. What was it like? Obviously you've been in the arena so many times. You go there as a coach. What was it like building up with the boys? Were you nervous? What was going through your head?
No, I was nervous. I was really nervous compared to when I was playing, because the difference is, can be like you've got no control over what's happening. At least if you're playing, you're out there on the field and you have some say over what happens, or at least with the way your football team plays. But as a part of the coaching staff, once you speak to the players in the dressing sheds before the game and the siren goes, the 2-minute bell goes, and you leave them to their own devices, or you let the captain, Daly Cherry Evans, speak to the group before they walk out. That's it.
Yeah,
your control's gone.
It's done.
You just got to sit and watch.
Yeah,
and just really hope that the players go out and put into place what they've practiced all week. So it was a little bit different in that sense. Quite nerve-wracking, but at the same time, I was really confident in the team because they prepared so well all week. They had high energy. The enthusiasm of those younger players that come in. The 4 debutants were fantastic.
Incredible.
So I was always confident that they knew exactly what needed to happen. But still, it's easy saying that.
Yeah.
The tough job is going out and making sure that they get that game plan sorted, and obviously they're taking on a very talented football side as well.
Now let's go through the game. New South Wales come out, and it's a tit for tat. Honestly, you can't see the difference between the sides. It really looks like a 50-50 contest. But then Whiten, incredible strength.
Yep.
And so much noise about the selection of Whiten at centre. I personally believe Whiten was New South Wales' best. I thought he was absolutely outstanding.
Yep.
Whiten goes over for the try in the corner. What do you think's going through the boys' head there? Or what were you thinking personally? Were you concerned, or were you like, look, just 4 points, we can bounce back? What was the feeling like while watching the game?
Yeah, look, I think I think that was proof as to why New South Wales picked him at centre first and foremost, Jack White, and I thought he was very good. Hadn't played in the centre, hasn't played in the centres all year. Like he's worn the number 6 for Canberra every game, but goes out and has a match like that for the Blues in the centres. But after he scores that try, you know exactly why they've picked him there. He's a good ball runner. He's aggressive. He had some impact with his defence as well. So, like when he scored that try, like it was pretty good play by New South Wales. They set that one up pretty good. They created some good space out on the Queenslanders' right edge. It was Damien Cook's pass from dummy half that really
was beautiful.
Got that. He zipped that one. It was probably 15-20 metre pass, which hit their half on right on the chest. And it just got their momentum rolling out on that left edge. And when you got a guy like Jack White and hitting the ball at pace, he's really hard to bring down.
Yeah.
But I was still confident. Like one try, Cleary hit the post with his conversion attempt. So, that we got a little bit lucky there, the Queensland side. So at 4 points down, you're always confident that there's 4 points in the Queensland footy side.
Yeah.
They just needed some opportunities. They just needed some balls, some opportunity. And it took some pretty good play for Queensland to get back in it.
It took some play. We'll get there. I mean, just come up. It's on the TV right now. Now, just quickly, though,
there it is.
What did you think about the really late changes by Freddie and changes we didn't see coming? We all thought there may be changes for 14 when Crichton and Whiten.
Yeah.
But there was changes for Cam Murray and RCG comes on for Junior Bolo.
Yeah.
What were you thinking then? And when did you find out about that?
Well, it was when the boys were getting ready.
Yeah,
really.
wow.
So when the team lists were finalised, when they have to be handed in to notify the NRL who the starting side will be.
Yep.
Plus your bench. So that when you hand those in, the opposition gets have a look at the other side as well, and who's going to be their starting 13. So we got to look.
Shock? Was it surprising?
I guess a little bit, because that was probably, as you mentioned, mate, that we were probably thinking if there was going to be a change, it would have been Crichton to start in the centres and Jack Whiten back to the bench. But we sort of plan for a couple of those scenarios. If Whiten started, we're probably thinking he might start, depending on how the game goes. He might play 20 minutes and then Crichton will come on and finish the game in the centres. Jack Whiten maybe would have gone into the middle or come back onto the bench and waited for some sort of utility role. But no, the late change, and to be honest, it's not an uncommon thing. It happens in the NRL every week.
Yeah.
Where particularly that rotation of forwards that happens. Sometimes a couple of guys are named to start, but then the coach will swap them just before kickoff and say, "Oh no, well I might start with that guy that was named on the bench, and we'll bring our starter back on the bench, just holding back a little bit." I think the reason for those two changes were RCG. He's a big aggressive player. I think they were probably looking for a guy with pretty good leg speed, who was going to go out and try and bash a few of the Queensland players. Really, that's what I think it was.
Absolutely.
And Liam Martin, he's got a great combination, with those Penrith players. It added another sort of Penrith sort of dimension to their starting 13. And the one good thing that Liam Martin, he's very good at is his kick chase.
Yeah.
So if you watch, if our listeners out there that have seen a fair few of Penrith's game, particularly in this season, he likes to he sets himself for Cleary's kick on the last, and he times his run really well where he'll be right in line with Cleary when he kicks, and he goes down, he puts a lot of pressure on the opposition back three.
Yeah, okay.
And so I think that was the plan, was to go, mate, you need to get out there and just put pressure on the back three. We're going to be kicking they kicked the Cobbo all night.
Yeah.
Okay, they try to put him under pressure. They try to rattle him early. And so I think Liam Martin, really, his job was to go out there in those early exchanges and just follow Cleary's kicks and land on those back three. Whenever they're catching the ball, go down there and be physical.
Yeah.
And just try and bash them.
Yeah. I personally, in my opinion, I think Cam Murray needs to be on the field as much as possible. And so I was really surprised that they brought him off.
Yep.
And I actually thought New South Wales looked much better with Cam Murray in the field. I really thought that I think they missed when they needed the extra bit of, I guess, oomph or ball play speed that Cam Murray does really offer.
Yep.
I just think that, and Liam Martin, fantastic player.
Yep.
But I reckon, and this is my opinion, but I really do think Freddie got that wrong. I think he should have kept Cam Murray in the field.
Well, Cam Murray, you think about the style of footy that he plays, he's a very, and I say this with all due respect, he's an awkward style of ball runner.
Yes.
Which means when I say that, he's very hard to get a hold of. And he's great with his body positioning when he gets into contact, and he knows how to find space, get to the ground, and he plays the ball quickly. I think he's got one of the fastest. If he's not the fastest play the ball speed in the comp, he's
he'd be
he's
right
very
up
close.
there. Yeah.
So, and he's got that relationship with Damien Cook.
So it worked really well in the second half
when
together.
he come on.
Yeah.
Exactly. Cookie got a fair few opportunities off the back of his play the balls, but that was probably a little bit strange. But I think they were just looking for that first 20 minutes. They were looking to go out all out aggression.
Okay.
To really rattle Queensland.
Do you think that they may be thinking a bit too much about that specific, like rattling the outside backs and trying to get in their heads, or you think it was just more of a broad aggression type play with Freddie?
I reckon probably a little bit of both.
Yeah,
because they've had success in that over the past few years. They really have been the more dominant footy side over the past, I could say, 4 series. But not so. When Xavier Coates first started, they attacked him on his wing. Okay,
Yeah,
so when
very
he
true.
first started his career, they kicked to him and get stuck in him on his ball carries, on his ball return. They were trying to do the same thing to Selwyn Cobbo last night. So I think it was a bit of a tactic.
Yeah.
To try and do the same thing last night. I thought our boys handled it. Selwyn Cobbo was
outstanding.
He was so good. He was so good. Like he come up with, and we'll touch on it a bit more, but the kick in field for Gagai was just unbelievable. Like for a guy in his first Origin, only just turned 20 like 4 days ago. That was a huge play. But his work in that yardage area, coming out of, I think that's, everyone loves scoring tries.
Yeah.
Like that's why we play footy.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to score 4 points. And, but I think he really enjoys that part of the game,
Yeah.
carrying the ball
The contact.
off his own, and he loves it. He loves that physical part of the game.
Now, the scores are, it's 4-0, and honestly, you still can't split the two sides. It just really looked like both teams were there playing at a very high intensity. Matter of fact, I think the average NRL meters per minute is 85, and the meters per minute for the first 20 was, I think, 112 for New South Wales and 110 for Queensland.
It was crazy.
Crazy speed.
Yep.
And then Selwyn Cobbo gets a ball off the deck, right option by Kalen, right option, but just obviously didn't land to him.
The
but
bounce
still,
pass.
Bounce pass.
It gets everyone.
Gets everyone.
It should just be a set play.
Yes, to the bounce pass. To the bounce pass. But Selwyn Cobbo, sometimes it just takes a bit of magic. And that's why you get so excited about guys like Selwyn Cobbo, because they do things that you can't coach against. You can train, you can do all the scenarios in the world, but you're not going to coach against a guy that picks the ball up off a bounce pass, goes down the sideline with no room, kicks it pinpoint, because that kick, if it goes too far, New South Wales grab it. If it goes too short, New South Wales grab it. Pinpoint, and that just changes the game. All of a sudden, Queensland are ahead 6-4. What are you thinking in that period of the game?
Yeah, as I said, after the first try to New South Wales, I was very confident. That was an opportunistic try. As you said, like, it was a great play going down that right edge with Kalen Ponga. He got the pass wrong, but it ended up with a good result.
He meant it.
He meant it. Yeah, I think, as we were saying, it was a set play, bounce pass. But with Selwyn going down there and just dropping it on the right boot, it was just perfect. And Gagai playing in his 20th Origin last night. Again, one of the. I don't think there was a poor player on the field.
Really,
by any team. But Gagai, as he's done many times before, he was the man on the spot, following Selwyn on the inside and scored the try. Val kicks the goal, and all of a sudden, it's back to the start again. Well, okay, we've just nullified the 4 points that they've scored, and now we find ourselves 2 up, and in a really good position. I just thought that, the way we started, our starting forwards were great. Big Tino and Papa outstanding. Ruben Cotter.
Oh my God!
I don't know what he had for lunch or dinner.
1,000 Weet-Bix.
I don't know, but he is an absolute machine.
Seriously, it's all in that mullet, I reckon.
Machine.
That's where the power is.
Mullet and the mo.
Oh my God, he was outstanding. What I loved about the Cotter performance as well is, like, sometimes players get selected and they don't necessarily do what they get selected for. They do their job as a normal rugby league player, but everyone brings something different to the game. For example, Selwyn Cobbo, he's got magic in his boots. He's got magic and he did it. Ruben Cotter, he's got the motor of a giant.
Well, Kempy, there was a plan to get him off and give him a break.
Wow.
But because of the scenarios that you can't plan for with Xavier Coates going down, and then Nanai goes down.
Wow.
Well, that was pretty much. I think the message went out to Ruben then was that, mate, we think you're going to have to go 80, and he just said, "Yep, no dramas."
Wow.
And he actually come off after the game, and this is probably a little dig at back rowers, but he said that little sort of 10-minute spell where he went out in the back row, right? When there was a bit of a reshuffle when Nanai went off, we only had one back rower. That was Felice Kafusi.
Yeah.
Because Kurt Capel was playing in the centres. There was a bit of a reshuffle there, and he said, "Oh, mate, I got my win back." Oh, mate. He goes, "Mate, how easy is it on an edge?" It's so easy.
Oh, mate,
what do you blokes do out there?
Come out to the wing. Trust me, it's even easier.
But he just said, he goes, "Mate, I didn't have to carry the ball. I made no tackles."
Oh, how good.
And so, like we have a bit of a laugh about it, but that probably got him through. Now, like, he plays 80 at Clubland for the Cowboys. But as we know, like, this Origin it's a different game. And you spoke about, how fast the game was played, particularly in the first half, well above NRL standard.
Yep.
And a lot of those, not a lot, all of those young guys that were playing their first game, they come off, and that was the first remark they made was like that's the fastest game of football I've ever played.
Mate, it was incredible. Welcome back to the Captain's Run. A great Origin review is on the cards, but we've got a caller, Jacob from Brisbane. You there, Jacob?
Yeah, g'day, guys. How you going?
Very good, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the use of interchanges. I found quite interesting. Queensland had used four of their interchanges after 27 minutes, whereas the Blues had used only one. And I felt definitely our interchange bench there with Carrigan and Harry Grant really got us over the line there. Do you think you see the Blues changing up their use of interchanges in Game 2? And do you think you see them changing around the number 14 role with someone like a Hines or Coruscant?
Well, just on that 14 role for New South Wales, I was always of the opinion in the lead up to this first game that it was going to be either Nico Hines. Well, in particular, I just thought Nico Hines was going to be the man to play that role, given his versatility. He can play any position in the back line. Plus, if you need him to go in the middle, maybe play a bit of 9 for 20 minutes, he can go in there and do that. So I was a little bit surprised that he wasn't given that jersey. He was on the extended bench, but yeah, I was a little bit surprised about it. As far as the interchange goes, I think both teams they take a bit of a plan for those, particularly those early interchanges in the first half, like the first rotation of some of those, ruck players, those bigger players that tend to blow out a little bit quicker than others. But with Queensland, I think they made 4 in the first half, and a couple of those were forced with the injuries to Xavier Coates. And then not long after that, I think Jeremiah Nanai, he may have been only on the field for maybe like 4 minutes or 5 minutes.
Yeah, very short.
And then he went down. So there was two changes made in quick succession. I think Queensland, they were thinking, let's make 2 changes, planned ones, and that was Carrigan and Lindsay Collins, who, as you mentioned, they made an absolutely huge impact for Queensland when they come on the field, along with Harry Grant. So that was the 3 that was made, and they all 3 of them, they were given a job that when they got on the field they had to make a difference, and all 3 did that.
Yeah, mate, I totally agree with Smithy. I think that the Queensland interchange really did have a massive impact, massive impact. I thought Paddy Carrigan was outstanding. And what I liked about, when you select Paddy Carrigan on the bench, he's a big minute player. So the good thing about having a guy like him on the bench is that you can really, if you need to leave him on for a while, you can leave him on for a while. Let's say he goes on, there's an injury or whatever, you can keep him there if you have to. He was outstanding. With New South Wales, I was always a bit unsure with the Crichton one. I was really happy for Crichton as a bloke to get the debut because I think he's been outstanding. But I kind of felt like it was a selection worried about what if happens, like if we lose an outside back to HIA, rather than going, an attacking selection of how can we select someone that's just going to be too good for the Queensland to handle. And I think we saw that when Nathan Cleary kept getting rushed by the Queensland defence, like even the commentators were saying, like, oh, Munster keeps rushing out and all that kind of stuff. I thought that was a planned thing to take Cleary off his game. You take time away from him. The structures aren't going to work that well. And I think Hines actually would have been perfect to bring in and just open a bit of flow up and a bit of unstructured footy around the middle. So I probably do give Queensland's bench the chocolates last night. What do you think, Jacob?
Yeah, absolutely. It was a huge performance from the bench players. I just really feel when you've got someone in that 14 role for State of Origin, you'd really love to get them able to cover the 1, the 6, the 7, the 9, because I feel if not, you're just covering for the injuries rather than actually going for that injection, which can really turn the games, as we saw in Queensland's favour.
Mate, absolutely. I thought Harry Grant was outstanding. I felt that, sometimes, if for example, if you bring on Crichton, he can't really impact the pace of the game because he's not in a position that is holding the ball a lot.
Yeah.
Whereas Harry Grant, he can impact the pace of the game because he's the one touching the ball after every single run.
Yeah.
And
he's the one that touches the ball first.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so the impact he can have is literally the most of anyone on the field.
Yep.
Mate, Jacob, thanks so much for the call, mate. Really appreciate it.
No worries. Thanks, guys.
Good on you, mate.
Now we've got some text here. Hey, Goat and Beak, how good was Paddy Carrigan last night? There was a moment in the sheds at halftime where he was talking to the players. Do you both see him being captain of the Broncos and Queensland in years to come? I'll just quickly answer. I actually have been saying I think Paddy Carrigan will captain Broncos in Queensland for quite a while now. And the only reason why I guess have thought that is because I'm a Broncos fan, so I've had a very close eye on Paddy Carrigan. And through all of the Broncos' really, really tough years, probably Paddy, Herbie, and Haas and Staggs to a degree, they're really the only 4 players that have week in, week out represented the Broncos the way Broncos should be represented. What do you think yourself, Speedy?
Oh, look, I was just really impressed with Paddy Carrigan all week. And when he caught my eye a little bit earlier in the year where he come back from a knee injury and he was playing down here in Sydney for the Broncos against the Rabbitohs. So he'd had 4 weeks off with a knee issue. Comes back, starts the game, and plays 62 minutes straight, and he was the best player on the field. They had a good win that night, the Broncos, and has played pretty much the same standard every week.
Yep.
So when I seen him in that first return, I remember thinking to myself, like, I think this bloke could really be an important part of this Queensland side this year. If he stays fit, stays on the park, and continues playing that way. And he had a fantastic preparation. Like, his week was so good. I was really impressed with the way, he was really keen to learn. As were all the young guys in there. Thomas Flegler, similar type of guy. Lindsay Collins, he's played Origin before, but he's another young fella. Only played a couple of games, but he was keen to learn some new things from some of the coaches and the other staff in there. But yeah, Paddy was super impressive, and the way he attacked the New South Wales side with his running, I think we all know, he's a good runner of the football, but he went after New South Wales defensively too.
Yes.
When he flew out of the line and whacked Jack Whiten.
Yep.
I can't remember Jack Whiten being hit like that.
Neither.
I just can't remember at any time like him getting hit so hard, and that was just great timing for his teammates when there was a little bit of a period there where it was tough going. The guys that had been out there as in the starting team, they were starting to get a little bit tired, and he just come on and just upped the ante for the Maroons and made a huge difference. So like he's a quality player and a good leader too. So if he continues on that sort of projection that he's going on, he could certainly be a captain for, well, at least the Broncos, and he'd be in the conversation with Queensland too.